Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Traveling with Glenn. My name is Glenn Davis. I am pleased to be your host for Life in the Slow Lane, a look at New England's covered bridges, past and present. The color pictures that you will see were taken by me, the great majority of them, while on solo bicycle tours. So, let's go bridging. A commonly asked question is, why did they cover the bridge? Was it to protect travelers from a sudden rain shower? No. Our New England ancestors were far too practical to waste valuable timber and time on such matters. Was it to give privacy for young lovers? No. That's the last thing that bridge builders wanted. And we'll talk much more of this later in the program. Was it to calm the horses by tricking them into thinking that they were about to enter the friendly confines of a barn? No. There is no evidence to support such a claim. The answer is simple. Protect the truss. A truss is a framework of beams, usually connected in a series of triangles, used to support the bridge. Alternate wetting and drying of wood causes rot and subsequent bridge failure. The roof, siding, and deck are cheap and easy to replace, but the heavy truss beams are not. Ask any old-time New England carpenter why they covered the bridges, and he'll tell you. Why did our grandmothers wear petticoats? To protect their underpinning. Why did they cover the bridge? Likewise. Where did the covered bridge originate? You might be shocked to learn that covered bridges were not invented by New Englanders. Covered bridges are a tradition carried to North America by immigrants from West Central Europe. Today, Switzerland, Austria, and Germany have the most covered bridges in Europe. Are covered bridges found in other states? It might surprise you to learn that 80% of North American covered bridges are located outside of New England. 31 states and 4 Canadian provinces have covered bridges. Pennsylvania leads the way with about 219 covered bridges, more than all the New England states combined. More than 1,100 covered bridges were built in New England, but only about 180 remain. What happened to all the covered bridges? Floods, arson, and neglect claimed many, but the greatest enemy was progress. By the 1920s, roads were being widened to 2 lanes. 1-lane covered bridges were looked down upon as horse and buggy-ish. The steel and concrete industries did a much better job of promoting their products than did the timber industry. In addition to transportation, covered bridges have been put to many other uses, including, but by no means limited to suppers, dances, church services on hot days, weddings, political rallies, bond rallies during World War II, a place for young men to settle grudges, and a fun place to play on a rainy day. Boys playing ball games or climbing in the rafters, and tomboyish girls walking the length of the bridge on huge arches. Reading advertising posters, especially the gaudy circus posters, was great fun. Common Halloween pranks included lowering scarecrows and ghosts from the rafters. A woman who lived next to a covered bridge hung her wet laundry in it on rainy days. We'll start our tour of New England's covered bridges in New Hampshire. I can't think of a better place to begin than with the beautiful Ashuelot Bridge, built in 1864 in Winchester. This is the interior of Ashuelot Bridge. Ithiel Town, a New Haven, Connecticut resident, patented the town lattice truss, which you see here, in 1820. The two sets of horizontal beams are called the upper chords. There are two sets of lower chords beneath the deck. The upper and lower chords are connected by the diagonal beams, the lattice. The lattice members are joined by trunnels, which are oak pegs about 1.5 inches in diameter. The lattice work is pegged to both the upper and lower chords. The lattice truss became the most frequently used truss type. What kinds of materials are used in covered bridges? Spruce and hemlock are the most common for heavy trusses. Cedar shingles and tin sheets are often used for roofing. And as you can see here, on Ashuelot Bridge, the tin sheets were used. This is Coombs Bridge, built in 1837, also in the town of Winchester, and spanning Ashuelot River. And this is a side view of Coombs Bridge. Thompson Bridge, sometimes called West Swansea Bridge, was built in 1832, and it also spans the Ashuelot River. Sawyer's Crossing Bridge is also called Crescent Bridge, and it is located in Swansea and spans the Ashuelot River. On the far side of the river, you can see a kayaker who has pulled in to take a short break. The bridge is nicknamed Arthur Godfrey's Bridge. Now, why would a bridge in New Hampshire be named after an entertainer whose radio and television programs originated from New York? In 1953, the bridge was used by one of Godfrey's sponsors as a tie-in with a Chesterfield Cigarettes Christmas carton. In response, the governor of New Hampshire flew to New York to present Mr. Godfrey with an honorary deed to the bridge. Upon completion in 1859, the bridge was lit by lanterns, a supper was served, a 4-piece orchestra played, and the people danced on the bridge all night. And this is a view of Carlton Bridge, built in 1869 in Swansea. Rowell's Bridge was built in 1853 by Horace Childs of neighboring Henniker, and this bridge spans the Kentucky River. Waterloo Bridge, built in 1840 in Warner, spans the Warner River. Beament Bridge, built in 1854, cost the taxpayers of Bradford $500. Today, the bridge would cost about $150,000. Henniker Bridge, is located on the campus of New England College and spans the Kentucky River. It was built in 1972 at a cost of $80,000. Replacement cost for this bridge is about $350,000. Is it any wonder that these bridges are heavily insured? And this is a look at the side of Henniker Bridge, and it shows a portion of the town lattice truss and the oaked trunnels. And this is Henniker Bridge as seen through an arch of the Edna Dean Proctor Bridge. Sillyville Bridge was built in 1887 in Andover. And like all bridges, it needs repair work from time to time. And this bridge is in serious need of rehabilitation. And this shows Sillyville Bridge following its rehabilitation. Corbin Bridge was originally built in 1845 in the town of Newport, but the bridge was destroyed by an arsonist in 1993 and rebuilt the following year. Wright's Bridge in Newport spans the Sugar River. Does this bridge look a little different from the other bridges we've seen? Note the height. It seems unusually high for buggies and freight wagons. It was built in 1906 for the Boston and Maine Railroad. The 21 feet of vertical clearance allowed steam engines to pass safely through. To be capable of withstanding the weight of steam locomotives, freight cars, and passenger cars, wood must be an amazingly strong building material. About 335 covered bridges were built in New Hampshire, with 54 remaining. Of the total, approximately 125 were railroad-covered bridges, with 5 remaining. Cornish-Windsor Bridge spans the Connecticut River. Walk your horses or pay $2 fine. This is not a modern gimmick for the amusement of tourists, but sound engineering advice. Horses' hooves pounding on a bridge deck damage joints. For the same reason, soldiers were ordered to break step when crossing bridges. Mount Ascutney may be seen in the distance. Can you tell me where the state line is? Most of the people think that it's the middle of the river, but it's way over on the Vermont side, the far side of the river, and on the low water mark. The boundary was established in 1764 by King George III, and even today it remains federal law. As a consequence, New Hampshire must bear 95% of the cost of repairs. New Hampshire has filed numerous lawsuits to change the boundary, but to no avail. Built in 1866, it is the 4th covered bridge at this site. The others were swept away by floods. Cornish-Windsor was the last toll bridge across Connecticut River. Tolls were abolished in 1943. At 460 feet, it is the longest remaining covered bridge in the United States, and the second and the longest remaining two-span covered bridge in the world. Cornish-Windsor was built by James Tasker, who built 3 other covered bridges across the Connecticut River and many others in New Hampshire. When signing a contract to build a bridge, he had to trace his signature. James Tasker could neither read nor write. Edgell Bridge is located in the town of Lyme. Edgell Bridge was built in 1885 by Walter Piper when he was 18 years old. The Bath Haverhill Bridge, spanning the Ammonoosuc River, was built in 1829 and is the oldest covered bridge in New Hampshire. How long can a covered bridge survive? If properly cared for, a wooden bridge can last almost indefinitely with a little luck. Then why not make all bridges of wood? It wouldn't be practicable given the width, traffic volume, and modern highway speeds. But on small back roads, wood is a superior building material, especially in cold climates, because unlike steel and concrete, wood is impervious to salt, which eats away steel and concrete. And this is Bath Bridge, built in 1832 and spanning the Ammonoosuc River. Swiftwater Bridge, built in 1849 in the town of Bath, spans the wild Ammonoosuc River. Mount Orne Bridge, built in 1911, spans the Connecticut River at South Lancaster. Over the years, 35 highway and railroad covered bridges have spanned the Connecticut River in New Hampshire from Hinsdale in the south to Pittsburgh in the north. And this is Groveton Bridge in the town of Northumberland, spanning the Ammonoosuc River. Stark Bridge, built in 1862, spans the upper Ammonoosuc River. With a charming village to complement it, Stark Bridge is one of the most photographed bridges in New Hampshire. Note the twin sidewalks. Honeymoon Bridge in the town of Jackson spans the Ellis River. The Swift River Bridge, built in 1870 in Conway, spans the Swift River. It is now a pedestrian-only bridge with 2 picnic tables inside. The Saco River Bridge, built in 1890 in Conway, spans the Saco River. And this is a view of the Saco River Bridge from the modern highway bridge. Albany Bridge, built in 1858, spans the Swift River. Squam River Bridge is one of New Hampshire's newest covered bridges. It was built in 1990 in the town of Ashland, and it spans Little Squam River as it flows from Squam Lake. The humpback design allows sailboats to pass. Blair Bridge, built in 1869 in Campton, spans the Pemigewasset River. Blair Bridge is one of my favorite bridges. I've spent many days camping near it. If you walk to the river just after sunrise and are a bit lucky, you might see otters frolicking in the river. The White Mountains are visible in the distance. Smith Bridge in the town of Plymouth spans Baker River. In 1993, Smith Bridge, built in 1850, was destroyed by an arsonist. In this photo, the new bridge is under construction. One of the arches is being erected on the right. And we see the new Smith Millennium Bridge after completion in 2001. Sulphite Bridge in Franklin spans the Winnipesaukee River. The bridge was built in 1896 for the Boston and Maine Railroad. It is also known as the upside-down covered bridge because the railroad track crosses over the top of the structure rather than running through its center. Sulphite Bridge might be the only deck-covered railroad bridge left in the United States. It was the victim of arson in 1980. Because the siding was burned away, the Pratt Truss is exposed. The Pratt Truss is characterized by diagonal iron rods. Because of that, it is a transitional truss from all wood to all iron. We'll continue our tour of New England's covered bridges in Connecticut. I'm sure that many of you recognize this bridge. It is West Cornwall Bridge, built in 1841, spanning the Housatonic River. It is also known as Hart's Bridge, after an early settler. Many years ago, the road was closed at times so that the locals could hold suppers and square dances on the bridge. Connecticut is the home state of some of the great bridge designers, including Theodore Burr and Ithiel Town. Their truss designs were used in thousands of covered bridges. Bridge builders of note include Jonathan Walcott and Colonel Ezra Brainerd of East Hartford. Jonathan Walcott used Theodore Burr's arch design to build the longest covered bridge in the world, a massive 5,690-foot span over the Susquehanna River in Pennsylvania. Bull's Bridge, built in 1842, is located in South Kent. More than 60 covered bridges have dotted the Connecticut landscape, but only 3 remain. About 75% of Connecticut's covered bridges were built in western Connecticut, many of them spanning the Housatonic, Naugatuck, and Farmington rivers. Bull's Bridge is one of 2 remaining of 18 covered bridges which once crossed Housatonic River. Many years ago, the mouth of the Housatonic was spanned by a 1,080-foot railroad-covered bridge. Comstock's Bridge, built in 1873 in East Hampton, spans the Salmon River. It was bypassed by a concrete bridge in 1932. Today, it is a pedestrian bridge. Comstock's Bridge is the only remaining east of the Connecticut River covered bridge in the state, and weddings are sometimes held on the bridge. In 1818, A double-barreled toll bridge connecting East Hartford to Hartford began operations. Double-barreled means that there were separate lanes with a center divider. Its 974-foot length was illuminated by oil lamps. In 1892, little trolley cars began to bump across. A tale which has a ring of truth concerns the sign which once hung on the portal of Hartford Bridge. The sign differed slightly from the usual "walk your horses" admonition. The story goes that a farmer's wife from over beyond East Hartford was in a hurry to get to market on a Saturday morning and drove a bit too fast to suit the conscientious constable stationed on the old bridge. Hauled into court, the lady was about to plead guilty and pay her fine when a smart lawyer interceded, leaping to the astonished lady's side. "May it please your honor," he shouted, "I move this case be thrown out of court." "How so?" asked the judge. "Your honor, the sign on the Hartford Bridge reads, $10 fine for any man to ride or drive faster than a walk on this bridge. Your honor, the horse was a mare and my client is a woman." In the uproar that followed, the case was dismissed. Fire completely destroyed the Hartford Bridge on the night of May 17, 1895. The flames started near the East Hartford end, and in less than 10 minutes were sweeping through the entire tinder-dry structure. There had been much agitation for a new bridge, and among Hartfordites there were few to lament its spectacular passing. The Hartford Courant reported that a crowd of 20,000 lined the banks, everybody not bedridden or in jail, to see the bridge burn. The great wooden arches, it was reported, glowed like brilliant blazing rainbows before crumbling slowly into blackened embers that drifted slowly seaward on the crimson-glowed surface of the river they had spanned so long. A hose cart and 2 of Hartford's fire horses from Engine Company Number 3 were trapped inside on the south lane of the bridge and went into the river when it fell. Some enterprising citizens recovered the carcasses and sold the twisted, rusty horseshoes as souvenirs. The first 8 were quickly purchased. The demand increased, and it was said that neighborhood barns sported enough tacked-up shoes from the brave fire horses that perished in the Great Hartford Bridge Fire to have shod a cavalry regiment.